The Terps, the Caps, the Wizards, and look no further. We got spring training baseball most afternoons around here these days. I noticed the Massive folks want to get a look at that new Nationals ballpark down there, but the Orioles got a little taste of the Yankees, and this guy here got a little taste of the Yankees the last couple weeks as he's been down in Florida running around with the Yankees and the Mets because it's what he does. He is the longtime baseball columnist for the New York Post and one of our frequent visitors here and defending champions. We welcome the great Ken Davidoff back on the WNST. You can follow his journey at nypost.com as well as at Ken Davidoff out on Twitter, and tens of thousands do. Ken, what say your eyes about the Yankees? I say this. I watched them play for 9 innings the other day. Stupid little B-League sort of game up at Sarasota. I think they're dangerous again. I fear the Yankees and the Red Sox doing what they did maybe a decade ago, which is sort of come back to some level of emergence in that division that should make Tampa, Toronto, and us here in Baltimore shiver a little bit, I think.
Yeah, Nestor, I'm not too sure the Yankees will be serious contenders in 2017, but they've kind of taken one step back in the hopes of taking 5 steps forward and really restocked their farm system. A lot of really interesting young players, and their process is sound. Now we'll just find out about the results.
I remember when you guys used to go down to spring training and, chase A-Rod around and after, now you go down there. Is there some semblance of normalcy there now that it's like a normal baseball camp where you have all of these prospects and a guy like you wants to keep an eye on who might be on the team in 18 and 19 because you've been around this for a period of time? And more than that, if they get into this race in July, they can now deal the other direction to bring in someone else's star. That's something that the Yankees haven't had in their arsenal for a period of time, let alone just having, this sort of pork at the end of the bench where they've spent so much money on guys who haven't produced.
Well, first of all, I did spend last week chasing A-Rod around. He was in camp. He was a guest instructor. But to your greater point, yes, you're right. It does feel more like a normal baseball team. There really are, I would say, zero tabloid elements to the Yankees right now. Well, I shouldn't say zero.
Which makes it hard for a tabloid sports writer.
Right, although there was this crazy incident with the arbitration with Dylan Betances and the team president, Randy Levine. That was insane. But for the most part, it's a pretty normal baseball team. That is a much different dynamic than for most of my career when you talked about A-Rod, Jeter, Mariano Rivera, and just the electricity that superstars like that brought.
Well, I think there's sort of this forgotten thing to some degree around here. We haven't forgotten the many beatings, but it feels like they've been, a little impotent over the last couple of years, and somehow in an impotent year, there's 6 games over 500. I remember the 55 and 60 win seasons around here. I know what bad looks like. There's been some thought, well, the Yankees aren't good enough. Boy, they're pretty close, quite frankly, for me the last couple of years that they've managed to stay in. The Betances thing was strange because I see him as, if not their best player, certainly in the category of a guy they're going to need a whole lot this year. Any of the political fallout of that, I remember when I was around the teams covering it, it was really a big deal for guys to go to arbitration and be told that they're not very good and then to lose in the end. You don't see a whole lot of that. I mean, I think the teams want to try to get along with the players a little bit better to not get bad vibes. Is there bad vibe there?
Sure. Yeah, there's permanent scars in that incident. Now, does that mean that Dylan Betances is going to go out and have a terrible year? No, I would think he'll have a good year as long as he survives the World Baseball Classic. But what transpired a few weeks ago does not just go away.
Well, and I guess the story there would be like the Chris Sale thing, right? Cutting up jerseys, pissed off at management, crazy insubordination, stuff that guys like you and I don't ever find out about if the citizenship isn't there. But, it feels like the Yankees with Cashman in the offseason, we've seen him for 2 decades and wondered if he didn't have all the money, if he couldn't sign the best players, could he make the deals? I think 6 months ago he really sort of did something that much like the Patriots a couple weeks ago, did something we've never seen them do before. Your thoughts on Cashman and where this team's going and those acquisitions and what you're expecting from some of these young guys? Who's going to be on this team in a couple of weeks when they come north?
There are like 8 questions there, Nestor, so I'll do the best I can.
I'm special for that. You know that,
yes.
Ken. You've been on before.
Let's see. Well, for a lot of the most exciting players, they either acquired via trade or have drafted or signed internationally, will not be on this 2017 Yankees team. I'm talking about Gleyber Torres, the shortstop, who they got from the Cubs in the Chapman deal, Clint Frazier, the outfielder, who they got from Cleveland in the Andrew Miller deal. Some of their top pitching prospects, James Kaprielian, Chance Adams, those are all guys who will not be on the 2017 Yankees. In terms of exciting youngsters on the 2017 Yankees, Aaron Judge, the right fielder, who got a couple months in the big leagues last year, light tower power, just needs to work on pitch identification, and not strike out as much. And Gary Sanchez, who obviously made a huge impact in his couple months last year as a starting catcher, compelled the Yankees to trade Brian McCann. So I think their plan is sound. Now we'll just see if it works.
Sanchez, right? You got some fever for that back in August and September. I don't know that we'll ever see a stat line like that, right? 200 at bats, 20 home runs at the end of a year. That may never happen again.
It hadn't happened before, so it's reasonable to think it won't happen again.
He is Ken Davidoff. You can follow his journey at nypost.com, as well as, of course, out on the internet on Twitter at Ken Davidoff. When there's breaking news, he's usually in the middle of it. The Mets on the other side, after the World Series run, after the expectations, much like the Orioles, getting bad news on the health side before it's even March, let alone April. Not good news out of there, right?
You're talking about David Wright?
Yes.
Yeah, but look, everyone loves David Wright, but there was zero expectations about David Wright heading into the season. It would have been terrific to have him. I don't think anyone reasonably expected that he would contribute in any significant form this year. So while they're sad for him personally, it really does not derail their ambitions.
Were you fortunate enough to attend the Tim Tebow press conference?
Did you say unfortunate enough?
Oh, fortunate enough. Fortunate.
Yes.
No, fortunate enough.
There.
Some thoughts about that and the sort of the circus coming to town to some degree, because it feels that way to me. But hey, maybe he's Bo Jackson. Maybe he'll play a few years in the big leagues.
Oh no, he is not Bo Jackson.
Right.
No, take that back, Nestor. You're better than that.
Well, I mean, if it's a sham or whatever we would call it, why are they in that business right now, the Mets?
Money. Yeah, Tim Tebow expands the brand to, my gosh, does he have a lot of followers. I found out again the last couple of days by writing about him and getting a lot of reaction. And even if Tim Tebow ever plays a game for the Mets, it'll be a gimmick. Be a September 40-man roster pinch hitting thing.
Like the Garth Brooks call-up, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, Garth Brooks didn't play he played in exhibition games. He didn't play in real games. But Tim Tebow, for sure, there are more Mets fans now than there were before they signed this guy. No doubt about it. So, and he's very likely going to play a Class A this year, their St. Lucie team, and for sure he will sell tickets.
Well, and so what does that mean, though? I mean, why does the organization need that sort of is it that bad to keep you guys away from the Yankees, literally? I mean, I just, if the guy has no future, he's taking up a roster spot. I don't understand the philosophy of it, I guess.
Nestor, if I offered you $1,000 right now, would you ask, why are you offering me $1,000, or would you just take it?
I probably would ask why, because I'm old enough to know better.
Well, the Mets aren't.
Oh well, yeah, but they don't feel so desperate as an organization. I mean, they could go back to the World Series this year, right?
Yeah, but you're conflating, and you're conflating points A and point B. This is like a little sideshow they've started that makes them money and doesn't impact their championship aspirations whatsoever.
For you with the Orioles and watching them from afar, and I know you've sat in these camps early in the year, I mean, this is a different kind of offseason for the Orioles given how they were eliminated last year. Buck has done the old, we're not here to talk about last year and all that stuff. I don't think anyone around here is going to stop talking about having Zach Britton on the bench last year until such point where they supersede where they were last year and maybe get through the wild card round. But the Orioles in the offseason, for me, a little bit of a choppy effort because they needed more pitching, and day one, Tillman's not going to be there. They've had issues with Hardy's back. Now they have this freak injury with the football and Michael Bourne. It has not been a good early camp for the Orioles. And meanwhile, we're looking at the Yankees and the Red Sox and saying, well, they're back. Any expectation for the Orioles this year, Ken?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to stress, I really don't think the Yankees are back this year. I think they're on the right track, but to reiterate, I'd be surprised if they made.
What's
the
the over/under of wins for the Yankees for you, Ken? They won 84 last year. What do you expect them to do?
You need to ask me that on opening day. I'm not ready to give that yet.
But you think they're above 500 team?
I'm not ready to commit, my friend.
Okay.
Not ready to commit.
Fair enough.
So, but as for the Orioles, look, every year this Duquette-Buck era has been defined by defying expectations, right? I mean, I don't think they've been favorites in any year to make the playoffs or to win the division, and they now have 3 playoff appearances in their 5 years together. And they somehow make it work. It's really remarkable, especially in this age of analytics and everything else. They consistently surprise us. So I agree. It was a weird winter, and it's been a tough spring. But far be it from me to count out the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, it just feels like they're never really in any sort of acquisition mode, and now we're getting to that that death dirge of Manny Machado going out the door. It feels like he just got here, and it feels like, well, we got our next Ripken, and we've got our next Murray and our next Brooks, and it feels like there's very little chance that he's going to stick around here.
Look, I think there's a chance. Ask me right now, I would say 25%, because I think the Angelos family has shown a willingness to go long and deep with Chris Davis, and I think there is an appreciation for what Manny Machado means to that franchise. I think ultimately it might just come up to Manny Machado. How badly does he want to stay there? Because if the Yankees or Dodgers get in that sweepstakes, it might not be fair to ask the Orioles to match that. So I think there are a few factors at play there, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Manny Machado leaves the Orioles after next year.
Ken Davidoff joining us here from the New York Post on WNST. He's been down in Florida chasing the Yankees and the Mets, and of course has covered baseball for a long, long time. You wrote a piece a couple weeks ago, and I caught it on your Twitter feed, about chemistry and bad people, and that the analytics are the analytics. And look, I lived through the era here where the Orioles had a clubhouse of brooders, and then brought in Albert Bell, and then things were never the same again, and guys not getting along, and let alone the steroids era and whatever that did to guys' disposition. But you wrote a piece about that, and that the analytics don't suss that out, but teams do want things to be more quiet, even in the Bronx Zoo these days, and that does bode better for team chemistry and for winning baseball games. You wrote a piece about that a month ago. Well, what did you find in talking to people about that? Because 30 years ago, I don't think it was just, if the guy can hit the ball, I want him on my team. I don't care about what his problems are with chasing girls or the bottle or not getting along with teammates. Just get in the box and hit the ball. That's good enough. That was more old school. Is the new school a little different than that?
The piece came out 3 days ago, and I think the point of the column was that things haven't changed in that regard. That I think what's happened with these analytics, which I embrace enthusiastically, but some people have kind of decided, all right, now that we have these analytics, that chemistry and culture don't mean anything, and that's simply not true. If anything, they might mean more than ever because of this age of social media and TMZ. So what I was trying to do with that column was just draw that distinction there and explain that you don't mix the peanut butter with the chocolate. The analytics have nothing to do with the chemistry and culture issues.
He is Ken Davidoff. You can follow his journey at New York Post as well as at Ken Davidoff on Twitter. Dude, thanks for making some time, as always. I hope you got at least a little bit of sunshine when you were down there in Florida before the Yankees and the Mets come north and keep you busy every night.
Yeah, I was out in the sun.
So was I. I was on the other side of the world chasing Springsteen in the sun. I am avoiding spring training until I get to Cactus a couple weeks from now. I'll take a look at the Padres or the Dodgers or something while I'm out there. Ken, great having you on. Always good to visit.
All right, Nestor, take care.
You got it. Ken Davidoff from the New York Post joining us here, talking Yankees, Mets, Orioles, a little bit of baseball. We'll get to some Nationals and some National League stuff later on in the week as well. And I'm headed out to the NFL owners meetings 2 weeks from now. I did take a little decline on the Indianapolis trip in the Combine this week to sort of rest up around here. Plenty of stuff going on, though. Caps, Wizards beating the Warriors the other night. We got the Terps getting ready for Big Ten play. And, of course, spring training baseball, many afternoons on your Masson regional network from time to time. See a little more Nats than Orioles, but that's to be expected. They make more money off of them, I guess. You can also find me out in the Bahia Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. The morning newspaper ships to your email inbox every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life there. If there's any breaking news and, I don't know, Matt Elam dealing weed or something like that, you get it first on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And Dennis is here every Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home, getting you ready for the weekend. I am built for the weekend. I'm built for the combine. I've worn out a set of batteries already since I got home on that Caps, Terps, Wizards Tuesday night endeavor. But the Caps are cruising right now. The Wizards are cruising. We're trying to get the Terps a higher seed. The Big Ten tournament next weekend down in D.C. Plenty to talk about around here. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.